We continue our discussions with more on the release of the former National Security Advisor, Colonel Dasuki, and also Mr. Sowore by the Attorney General of the Federation. We have joining us from Abuja studios a lawyer, Abdul Sowore, that's a member of the Legal Council, Abdul Mahmud, and also Mr. Aliyu. Lemi. They both join us from Abuja studio. Thank you, gentlemen, and Merry Christmas. Thank you for joining us today. First, I'd like to ask, both of you are legal practitioners, and we know the arguments of the legal body, especially when the president in 2018, I believe, made his comments on national security and the rule of law. Now, Mr. Femi Falana has brought that up, saying that this reactionary position has been jettisoned and that national security takes precedence over rule of law. Would you hold the same view, seeing as the AGF did this or gave that release order on the eve of Christmas? Let me start with you, Mr. Lemi.
Well, I think it's a cheering news for once in a very long time. We've not had so much to cheer. But to the families of Colonel Dasuki and Mr. Sowore, Christmas couldn't have come at a better time. It is quite contrary to the stance taken earlier by the government, where it held the position that the rule of law was subservient to national security. In some breadth, that could be true, but with all due respect and sense of responsibility, a lot of Nigerians did not believe that was quite the case in this scenario. When this incident happened some time ago, I was on this same channel. Legally speaking, I said the government had the power to accuse anybody and arraign him before the court. But as soon as the court takes over proceedings and grants bail to any person accused of any particular crime, the government has no option than to obey those orders of court, which was not the case in the instant case. When he was rearrested in court, I was back on this channel to say that what the government did was not justifiable by desecrating the temple of justice. But it is never too late to do the right thing. This exhibits some symptoms of a responsive government, which is now responding to the yearnings of Nigerians that the rule of law must be obeyed. This is a first step. We hope and believe that in the coming days, other people who have been incarcerated for quite a long period of time will enjoy the same benefit. People like Mr. El Zakzaki that has been in custody for a very long time now, we hope government will extend the same gesture to him as well.
Mahmud, your thoughts on this? Many see this as good for the rule of law in Nigeria. Do you think that this has shown the efforts of this administration in deepening supremacy of the law?
First, let me wish Nigerians Merry Christmas and extend the appreciations of our client, Sowore, to Nigerians of all walks of life, people of the world who were involved in the campaign for his release. To answer your question, I have to preface it with this. The context between national security and human rights or rule of law is specifically not new. But I think in the context of our experience and worry, when lawyers and senior lawyers in government begin to misinterpret the judgment of the Supreme Court in Federal Republic of Nigeria against Dokubo Asari, the Supreme Court made it very clear about the primus of national security. But of course, that primus is within a context of the act or actions carried by individuals that flagrantly, are an assault on national security. It's not enough that you accuse someone of being threat of national security. You must show actual threat that individual has taken against the security of the state. That's the distinction that we must make within the context of the decision of the Supreme Court in FRON and Dokubo Asari. But in light of what has happened since yesterday, I think it's important for once for us to appreciate the place of rule of law in a democracy. And we are gratified by the fact that the government is seeking to purge itself of some of the acts that have shamed it. and it has chosen to work, within a context and frame and frame of the rule of law.
Before I go
But
to
we are
Mr.
also
Lemi, I
worried.
must quickly ask you, Mr. Mahmud, about Olawale Bakare. I mean, where is he?
Yeah, we have made the point. Femi Falana, senior advocate of Nigeria, issued a statement yesterday. Olawale Bakare was not rearrested 3 weeks ago. He's been consigned, to Oshogbo in Osun State by the terms of the bail order that was issued by Justice Ijoma Ojukwu. Olawale Bakare is fine, is hale and healthy, is somewhere in his home, enjoying the Christmas like every Nigerian in Oshogbo in Osun State.
New charges before both men?
There are charges currently pending before Justice Ijoma Ojukwu before against both men. At the last date of hearing, which was 6th of December 2019, that was virtually 3 weeks ago, both the prosecution team and the defense team agreed that the matter be adjourned, and it was adjourned to 11th, 12th, and 13th of February 2020. The definite hearing didn't come up on the 6th because some documents that were requested for, the prosecution witness statement, were not served on us. We hope that in the interregnum, between 6th of December and perhaps by midnight of 10th of February 2020, will be served these documents, and we're ready for trial.
All right. Quickly back to you, Mr. Lemi, and that is the former Deputy Senate President, Ikekwe Madu, said that we should never have traveled this road in the first place. We have some people who have talked about perhaps the federal government is being selective or acting on impulse. But, what are your thoughts with regards to what you want to see about the federal government and the executive obeying court orders and seeing separation of powers amongst the three tiers of government? Briefly, please.
Yes, very quickly. I think I quite agree with the Senate President on that issue. It appears that the government is, sometimes it appears that the government is being selective. But being the wielders of power, they have the right to exercise some of the discretions within their powers to exercise. And I think when they do this in arraigning different people at different times, it is well within their rights. But we would like to see more. We would like to see the government obey all court orders without being selective or without appearing to be selective. The rule of law is the foundation on which a democracy is built. The rule of law is the foundation upon which democracy thrives. If the government exhibits disrespect for the rule of law, then it will lead to cases of civil disobedience, and then this will bring down our democracy. So I think it's a welcome development, and we want the government to do more.
Yep. Mahmud, let's quickly get your 30 seconds.
Yes, it's a gratifying development, but we're also worried. If you read the last line and penultimate line of the first paragraph of the statement issued by the learned Attorney General of the Federation, it said we have chosen to comply. That phrase is worrying. A government does not choose to comply to orders made by a competent court. Going forward, we hope that this transformation from Saul to Paul that we have seen, with this government will lead to some sort of purgation. Right. Government should move away from the sins that it has committed. And we do hope that with the statement issued by the federal government and the release of Dasuki and Sowore, that the government has chosen to tread the path of the rule of law.
We appreciate your time, Mr. Abdul Mahmud and Mr. Aliyu Lemi. Thank you so much, both legal practitioners, for joining us this Christmas afternoon on the program.
Yes.
And that's our program today. Don't forget, you can join the conversation, our social media platforms, YouTube channel, /channels web for more updates. Thank you for watching. Merry Christmas to you and yours. I'm Millicent Wonwaka.